Students, today we'll start with the fourth step in the domain class construction, that is finding the attributes of the object and the link. Till now, in the first step we have identified the classes in the domain. Next, we prepared a dictionary in which we had the definition or a brief introduction about what are those classes and their meaning and the restrictions and assumptions that we made. And in the third step, we found out the association between the different classes. Next, that is today we'll learn about the next step, that is the attributes of the objects and the links are to be found. So as you all know, attributes are the properties of the object and they are also noun, but along with the noun the attributes have the possessive nature. That is, attributes are the nouns followed by the possessive phrases. Example, color is a noun, but here possessiveness is there, that is color of the car. Means the color belongs to some car, right? It possesses by this particular car. Similarly, name is a attribute, name of some person, right? So if my name is Saraswati, right? So the name is possession towards me, right? So the attributes are the nouns that have the possessive phrases. Once all the nouns are found out which have the possessive phrases like the attributes, next step is we should keep only the right attributes and we should discard the unnecessary and the incorrect nouns based upon the following criteria. So we are eliminating the attributes depending upon these criteria, which we'll study one by one. That is, we eliminate a attribute if it is an object, if it is better to be used as a qualifier, right? The names, the identifiers, attributes on the association, the internal and the fine details, and the discordant attributes are rejected. Similarly, we'll check with what we can do with the Boolean attributes. Right? We'll study these one by one. The fourth step is to find out the attributes of an object. So let us see here. We have a class. We have a class here, right? We are writing the name of the class. In the second compartment, we are writing the attributes list. The attributes are the properties of this class. Example, if I have a class called as person, in the fourth step, we are identifying those properties which will define who is this particular person is. Always the attributes explain the property of a class. So here person is described by his name, his date of birth, can be address, mobile number and other so many things. Similarly, car can be described, or the car's properties can be its color, its serial number, which model it is, right? So we are in the fourth step, we are finding the attributes. So the first one says we should eliminate if the attribute is a object, right? So first let us see what is the difference between a noun being an object and what is the noun if it is an attribute, right? So attribute means it always has some value, right? But if that particular noun has its own existence, then better that we'll make it as a class, not as just a simple attribute. I'll take one example here. We have a mailing system, right? And we'll just we'll just compare it with one more application which is taking care of the census here, right? If you look at these two classes here, one is handling the mailing system, that is the mails mean the letter that you will be posting to somebody. So the information that I mention here is who has sent you the letter, to whom you have written, from where that particular letter has come and where it has to be posted. Now if you look at an attribute called as city here, right? We have written an attribute called as city. It is just an attribute because the city doesn't have its own independent identity here. Always the city, if I want to post a letter to Dharwad, this Dharwad is related to who has sent the letter, right? So the city doesn't have its own existence because it is attached to somebody has written a letter and he want to post it to a person who is there in Dharwad, right? So here city has become just an attribute because it has a value which doesn't have its own existence. But if you look at one more class here, or the application in which you have doing the collecting the census information about different cities. Now look here also I have a noun city, but when I am talking about the census information, now city has its own independent existence because the city has a name, it has some specific square kilometer area and the number of people who are staying in it, that is the population, make it an independent object, right? So if anything has its own existence, then we should make it as object. If it depends upon something, then we are making it just an attribute. So the first criteria, elimination criteria, says you should eliminate the objects. If an independent existence of the element is more important than just a value, right, then we should keep it as a object. Next is, we should eliminate those attributes which are better modeled as the qualifiers, right, which are better modeled as the qualifiers. The qualifiers are help you to identify a particular, in a particular group of, in a particular set of objects. It allows you to identify uniquely a particular object, right? That is called as an qualifier. So if the value of an attribute depends upon a particular context, then we have to consider it as a qualifier, not just as a attribute. So look at here, we have, I'll explain the same thing with one example. You have a person, right, who is working in some company, so that person will become now an employee. So now the person is working for some company, so the meaning is the company has given employment to one particular person. Now assume that this particular person is working for two of the companies, right? He has, otherwise we can say he has working for two jobs. Okay, that time per job he has one employment number. So we cannot say this employment number is unique for a person because he has two employment number depending upon two jobs. Okay, now the person class, the employment number is no longer a unique property because he has two jobs. In such cases, this particular employment number will become a qualifier for the association company employs person, right? We should not make this employee number as an attribute of person. Instead, it has to be made as a qualifier for the association employees. Okay, let us take example here. We have a person, right, and he has two jobs. Okay, we'll see he has two jobs, right? One employment number is E01 when he is working in company C1, and he has one more employment number E02 when he is working for the company C2, right? So let me draw the class diagram. So initially I'll explain. Person has a employee number, name. One person is now working for multiple companies. So company has a name. Let us take a person is Alice. Alice is working with employment number E01 in company C1 and he has a employment number E02 in the company C2. Okay. Now it becomes problematic for me to identify uniquely depending upon the employment number, because in one company there can be more than one Alice, right? With the same person name can be shared by any number of people. In our class only we have many students with the same name, right? So this model is wrong. because this employment number is not unique here. So instead of making it as a attribute here, better that we make it the qualifier. Now look at the revised model now. Initially the class diagram was how person, attribute is employee number, name, and a company has name as its attribute. Now this is wrong because employment number is not unique, so you are unable to identify this particular person depending upon a company, okay, because he is sharing two employment number. So better that I'll model it as company qualified with the employment number which is connected to the person. Now look here, company employs person. Now this association is being qualified with a qualifier employee number. Now look at the meaning here. Alice employed with the employment number E01 in company C1. Similarly, Alice employed in C2 with the employment number E02. Now this is more clear and to understand. So if anything is better model as a qualifier, then don't make it a attribute like this. We should remove it and we should make it a qualifier. Next is, if the names are there in a particular class and if the names are unique, right? So better we'll make them as the modeled as a qualifier rather than just a attribute. So whenever the names, name can be a person name, name can be a student name, company name, department name, right? So in such cases, better that name can be kept as a qualifier, otherwise we have to make it a attribute. So whenever the name come across, we should ask two questions, that is, does the name select unique object from a set? Does the name select the unique object from a set? And the second question is, can the object in the set have more than one names? Can the object in the set have more than one name? So whenever if the name is not unique, then we should make it as the attribute. If the name is not unique, then make it as the attribute. And if it is unique across the world, then make it as a qualifier. Okay. So the names like the student name, the person name are not unique, right? Saraswati is my name. In our faculty member only, there can be one more Saraswati, right? So name of a person, name of a student is not unique. So if it is not unique, make it as an attribute. So, and if it is unique, like the name of a company is unique. We have a company called Wipro. It is not repeated one more time. We have Infosys. It is throughout the world. There is only one Infosys. So if something, the name is unique across the world, then we are making it as a qualifier. Next is the identifier. That is, what is the use of identifier? The use of the identifier is so that I can unambiguously refer the object in a set, right? So in a bank, I have lakhs together account numbers, accounts are there. How can I pick exactly one account? Using the account number. Similarly, lakhs together of students are studying in VTU. How can I identify an individual student? With the help of a USN. Now, look at the statement here. The identifier actually identifies the unambiguously one particular object. Okay. Until and unless these identifiers are present in the real world, don't use them. Right? If the identifier is exist in the domain, then only take it, otherwise you can neglect it. Example, we know account number is actually present in the banking domain, so we'll keep it. Similarly, transaction ID is there. Transaction ID, why we are using the transaction ID on the remote transactions that we do in the bank? Because we want to keep log of the things, and it can be used for during the implementation. How many transactions have taken place? What was happened in the first transaction? So that I can keep track of the different actions that have taken place. And it is used at the time of implementation, right? So the rule says if the identifier are present in the domain, then keep it, and if they are the implementation details, then don't include them. Next is, we should eliminate those attributes which are better can be modeled with the association, not with the individual class. Okay. If a value requires the presence of the link, then we should better that keep that property with the link and will not take it to the individual classes. Example, we have an association between the class person and a committee, and the association is member, right? Means a particular person is a member of a particular committee. So let us take with this example. Now we have a association here. Two classes are there. That is, one is person and one more is committee. And the association between them is member of. Person is a member of committee. Okay. Now look here. Any number of person can be the member of a committee. Similarly, one person can be a member of any number of committee. The meaning is the multiplicity between these two classes is, association multiplicity is n to n, that is many to many, because one person can be the member of many committees. Similarly, one committee can have any number of person working in it. So this association is many to many. So if I say Ali has become the member of committee C1 on 1st January 99, okay, and he might have become the member of committee C3 on 1st September 2000, okay. Similarly, John has become member of C1 on 6th October 2000, okay, and Mark is the member of C4 on 1st December 2001. Since the association is many to many, right? If I make the membership date as the attribute of person, if I make the membership date as the attribute of person, so then what I'll have now? A person class is there, right? A person class is there, and if I make membership date as attribute, now for one person I have two dates, because Ali is a member of C1 on 1st January 99 and he has become the member of C3 on 1st September 2000. Now here he has become the member of C1, here he has become the member of C3. Now how can I uniquely find out the particular person's membership to C1 here? It becomes difficult for me to identify the membership details uniquely, because I have two dates and two committees, and this membership date is a single variable, right? So how can it manages two values here, which is not unique? I am unable to find out on which and which date he has become the member. Okay, so that time what we should do is we should take out this particular attribute of from the person and we should make it the attribute of the association, rather making it belong to any of these two classes. Look here, the revised version will be much more meaningful and understandable. Look here, person is there, association name is member of. Okay, and the next class is committee. Person is a member of committee. So for this membership association class, I will add the attribute date, that is membership date. Look at now the relation, it becomes very much clear. That is, Ali is a member of committee C1 and we have an attribute here with the membership, then I'll enter here only. Right? So it is very much clear. Ali has become the member of C1 on January 20th, 2001. Similarly, now Ali has become the member of C2 on this particular day. So here it is helping us to understand the relation much more clearly when this particular date of attribute has belonged to the association, not to the any classes. So we should discard those attributes which will not belong to either of the class and we should make it the attribute of a particular association. Now, attributes are more subtle on one-to-many association because here we are not losing any data. Previously, I have taken many-to-many relation between a person and committee, right? Otherwise, if the relation is one-to-many, that time it is okay that I have that membership date with the many relation. Look here, one person can belong to any number of committees. If this is a relation, then membership date can be the attribute of the class committee because here the relation is very much clear. Look here, John is a member of committee on such date. John is a member of this committee on so and so date. Here we are not at all losing any of the information, but whereas the relation was star to star, that is many to many, we had a confusion. We had a confusion because for one name we had two entries here. For one name we had two entries and there was a confusion. We had a ambiguity and a chance of losing the information. Right? So if the association is one to many, then we can make it as a attribute. Otherwise we should make it as the attribute of the association. Similarly, the same thing is shown with the class diagram and the object diagram. Look here, person, we have a name as a attribute. For a committee, you have a name as a attribute and date membership as a attribute. Now John has become member of 3 committees, right? Since the association is one to many, and if the association is one to many, we can keep it as a attribute. If it is many to many, then we are making it as the association attribute. Look here, John, committee name C1, he has become the member on such date. John has become member of committee 2 on so and so date. John has become member of this committee C3 on so and so date. Like this, only you should keep in mind whenever we find out the attributes on the association, there is a chance of losing the information if the multiplicity is many to many. Otherwise, we can keep it as attribute in case of one to many or many to one association. Once we found out these all informations, the next thing we should do is we are modeling the class with the help of particular attributes. Look here, previously we have drawn some of the classes. Now we'll go on adding the attributes. We had bank as a class. We made its name as the attribute. Okay, the bank name as a attribute. Similarly, we have a cashier. His name is added as a attribute. Similarly, we have a bank computer. We have made the serial number of that computer as an attribute. So like this, in the class diagram, we will add the attributes. Similarly, for the remote transaction, we are adding the tree attributes. the kind of transaction that has taken place, that is it online, or how you have made the payment, then on which date and at what time the transaction has taken place, and what is the amount involved in that one. Like this we are adding the attributes. There are few more criteria which can be used to eliminate the unrelated attributes. That is, the next one is if some information is internal values and the fine details. For example, if you take the example of a railway reservation, the in-depth fine values, like it is better when we are doing the railway reservation, if you know which class that ticket belongs to and how many are traveling, it is better that in the domain we can calculate the amount the passenger has to pay, right? The internal and the detailed information, like on which seat he is sitting, will not affect that much in the domain, because in the class 2 charge for a railway will not depend upon the seat in which he is sitting. Only it affects it with which class coach, in which class compartment he is sitting. Is it a sleeping coach or the first class or the AC, where he is sitting? It is more than enough for us to model the domain classes. So we should neglect those internal values, and the fine details can be neglected. And if some of the attributes are not related to the class, that time it's better that we will model the one more class only, and we should remove such classes. That is, they are called as the discordant attributes. That is, an attribute that seems to be completely different from and unrelated to all other attributes. You have a set of attributes and you find that one of the attribute is not at all interlinked to the all the remaining attributes. In such cases you should split it and make two classes. Just take the example here. We have created a class called as a cashier, right? And this particular cashier has some name, he has some employee number, other information. Along with that one, I'll just add attribute called as in which register he is making an entry as of now, right? So in the bank we have some registers. In the registers they will be doing the daily transaction entries. Now initially I think that for a cashier I can have a attribute name and a attribute current register. But now just look at the attributes like name, address, his mobile number, okay, his employment number. They seems interlinked to each other, but when I come to this particular attribute called as register number, it is very much different from these remaining attributes. So in such cases we call them as discordant attributes. We should take out them and make a different class only. How can I make a class? I make a class as cashier 1 class with the details of these, and I'll make one more as a register with some register number, and I'll just connect them. So if the discordant attributes are there which are not at all related to the remaining attributes, better that we split into different classes. Next is, if you have some Boolean attributes in your application, better that we use the enumeration. We'll have to need to check, can it be restated with the help of an enumeration. For example, the Boolean expression like in a railway reservation, we have a particular seat is available. Is it occupied or not occupied? Right? So the Boolean is occupied can be 1, not occupied can be 0. In such cases, better that instead of taking the Boolean attribute, we'll see if it can be enumerated. Like I just say the seat status, and I'll just enumeration, I do the enumeration saying that occupied, not occupied. I'll have 2 states. Instead of using the Boolean, I'll just think whether it can be restated with the enumeration.